One out of four people globally, they feel constant loneliness
Across.
across. WHO is saying that this loneliness, it is as dangerous as smoking.
Wow.
Wow. I was a child when there was a war between Iran and Iraq. We had hundreds of thousands refugees from Afghanistan. And all of these, you can imagine, could make people to use substances or alcohol to make the pain silent. So this is the subject that touches me personally,
Looking at the next couple of decades, mental health, how do you think it will develop?
Loneliness might be the big fear for the future.
Dr. Mahshid Taj, welcome to the Go Beyond podcast, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Joseph, and thanks a lot for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you and your amazing audience and to talk about this very important matter that is my favorite subject, mental health.
Wonderful. I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you so much. And we're very grateful that you wanted to take your time to come in here.
It's a pleasure.
As you said, mental health, it's a huge area, right? And something that's very relevant today. Why don't we just start with describing a little bit about what mental health is for our audience, for laymen out there. How do we define mental health?
Yeah, great. I need to make a little confess today because, I was thinking about the definition of mental health, and then I thought maybe the best comes from WHO, the organization that I have served for so many years. On and off, actually. And if you allow me, I can read the definition.
Please do, yeah.
Yes. So WHO has a definition about mental health. And it says that mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. I stop here, and you can see how broad is the definition and how it is not about diseases or failures or disorders, It is about being well, functioning well, working well, and studying well. And the component of the community, how we belong to a community and how we function in our communities. And it says it is an integral component of health and well-being that underpins our individual and collective abilities to make decisions, build relationships, and shape the world we live in. Mental health is a basic human right. So it is not like a fancy term that, is fashionable these days, and we are talking about it because everybody is talking about it. It is everyone's basic right. And it is crucial to personal, community, and socio-economic development. And definitely you have heard this sentence that there is no health without mental health. So I think it's says it all, that what is mental health and how important it is for us individually, for our community collectively.
Very interesting, and naturally hearing the definition here from WHO as well. And something that caught my attention is this state of well-being. So what is well-being in the end? How do we define that?
You are asking me a very difficult question.
That's why we're here, right?
Yes. So what is well-being? To me, well-being is being able to live happily and productively and connected with other people. So, and this is what I do, when I deal with my clients. it is not that they get rid of some suffering. It is also to be able to be happy,
Mm.
to enjoy your life, to be comfortable with who you are, to be comfortable in your relationship with other people, with your friends, with your partner, with your coworkers, and to be able to contribute to the gift that you have and we have, that is called life.
Beautifully put. What is, I guess, thinking about all of these different parameters to, enjoy life and to be a part of life, and at the same time, perhaps when you're dealing with mental health issues, there is a lot of processes or treatments or things to follow. In my own opinion, sometimes it can all feel a bit too much, right? Like, what should I focus on? What should I do? How should I feel better, right? When you talk to your clients, where do you start? Because it seems like so hard to kind of pinpoint one thing down and like, that's the reason. Or as we do, for example, in medicine, when we treat a patient for a specific disease or whatever it might be, we try to pinpoint that, right? And treat it maybe with some kind of treatment or drug, whatever it might be. So, where do you start?
First of all,
Yeah.
I'm a psychotherapist.
Yes.
So usually it's not me who starts.
Yeah. True. Very true.
So it is usually, and I don't call them patients, because many cases, they don't have a very, identifiable or, like according to the standards and according to the criteria, they don't have any, disorder, but they are still suffering from something. So I would call them my clients. So in most cases, this is a journey that we take together. It is not that, I guide them directly, or I ask them question, or if I do anything magic. We walk together through this path, and then we explore what is happening. And you rightly mentioned that, again, it is good to be happy. It is good to enjoy your life, but it's not always the case.
True.
Murakami is one of my, most favorite authors. You know Murakami?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he says that pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. And, when someone comes to me is when, they have gone through the pain. And it happens, can you find someone that hasn't experienced the pain?
Everyone has, yeah. One way or the other, yeah.
So pain is there always for us, but suffering is our choice. I don't want to say that, it is like, like blaming people if they don't go for treatment. No. But I want to take it from the other side, the positive side, that we can do something for ourselves and for our loved ones. And what is available for people? There are a lot. Do you want us to go there now, or do you think that we can stop here?
I think, for us, the most important thing is, and honestly, I just wanted to continue on the note of suffering is a choice, right? And you said that this is not, blame anyone for anything, but what's the definition of that in regards to like suffering is a choice? How, talk to me a little bit more about that. Yeah.
To me, it means that we can do something for ourselves. Not always. And we can also think about other people, that they can do things for us. So I must say it is kind of like a collective act. So if you are suffering from a pain. And I want to emphasize not necessarily a mental illness, You feel lonely.
Mm.
And this is one of the things that brings people to the therapist. But you are feeling the pain, you know? What to do? Are there ways for me out there? My answer is yes. There are ways out there. And I'm not saying that the therapists are always the solution.
Sure. Yeah.
There is always a family member. There is always a close friend. And even a colleague, a trusted colleague. There are always people who you can trust and talk to them and open up and get help. And getting help is okay. That is the big thing that we are always facing, that people think that asking for help, seeking for help is not okay. It means that I haven't been good enough. I haven't been strong enough.
Right.
So my point is that the help is there, the support is there. We can change our perspective, or we can think about what is available, what could be available. But this is from one side. The other side, sometimes people really get trapped and they feel like nothing can be done. And this is also okay. This happens. I have faced it, And I'm sure many people who are listening to me and listening to us, maybe they have been there, feeling that nothing is going to work. So this is also on us to look after, our loved ones, to see, to observe, to stay connected, and to support if we see that they are suffering. And going up, this is the responsibility of the governments.
True. Somebody has to be responsible in the end, right?
So, this is why I'm calling it a collective act.
Yeah.
To make, our pain that comes definitely every now and then less, and make it actually part of our life, not a trap.
Yeah. Well, I love the way you put that in regards to, becoming trapped versus having the choice and seeing, what's around you. And I also love when the conversation gets away from me a little bit, because I do realize I didn't even get a chance to properly give you a chance to introduce yourself and what your work is. But that's what podcasts are all about.
Yes.
And that's what we are here for today. It is talk about mental health subjects that we are passionate about, and hopefully to shed some light on this topic. And just for everyone that's listening in or watching, we are going to address many different aspects of mental health, but most importantly, try to discuss subjects that are close to your heart and what you've been working with, and ultimately round off the episode where we'll also talk a little bit about the future of mental health and how you see it developing in the coming decades. But please, Doc, talk to us a little bit about your previous work, your experience, and what you've been working with.
So, as you said, my name is Mahshid Taj. I know pronunciation of my name is somehow difficult for many people, but you did it very nicely. Thank you. I'm a psychiatrist. At the beginning, a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, and also I have a master in public health and a master in global health policy. So you can see it's a mixture of medical experience and also public health aspects. And I'm originally from Iran. And I started my work experience in Iran, first of all, as a medical doctor, general practitioner, working in rural areas uh, close to Tehran, and serving mostly refugees from Afghanistan. And then I joined Ministry of Health in Iran, and I eventually ended working on something that used to be called, and I believe that still it is called, harm reduction. That is about reducing the harms of drug use among drug users, and particularly injecting drug users. I continued the same thing with the UN agency called United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime for a while, and then we left Iran and to started our journey. And so we have lived in several countries, like Papua, of course, Iran, Papua New Guinea, Egypt, South Africa, and now we are sitting here in Nairobi.
Now we're in Kenya,
Yeah. So, but during the last decade, I must say, is it like a decade? Yes. I was counting the years.
Yeah.
I have been working mostly with WHO, the regional office in Cairo, inside and offsite. I mean, both as a staff member and also as a consultant. But in August 2023, that we moved to Nairobi, I quit the organization and I got back to my old love, psychotherapy. And I'm happy to share with you that since 2 years ago, I also started to work more and to study more about mental health trauma. And this is for me is a kind of personal cause. So I have done, like certificates, studies, and I have also had the pleasure of working with a US-based NGO that also works on mental health trauma, and we have tried to increase the capacity of mental health professionals, Farsi-speaking ones, on mental health trauma.
Yeah.
So here I am, and and I have 2 amazing children and a beautiful cat.
That's always a great addition to the family. Yeah.
Yes. So here I am.
That's beautiful. And I mean, we naturally love kind of your global background in a sense, right? And giving your experience in mental health, and which is exactly what we're trying to address in this podcast, is also looking at any kind of health topic from a global perspective, because it is very difficult sometimes. You kind of isolate yourself either within a country or within a region, and then you look at that problem, right? Or like you're trying to talk about that. And okay, and that takes me to my next question, which is, we talked about mental health is not necessarily always about disease. It's like state of well-being.
True.
But if you look at the global climate of mental health right now, what do you think? And naturally, it's hard to kind of pinpoint one down that's like, this is it, or like, this is the problem we're having. But like, in your opinion, right, and what you've been working with, what's one of the most pressing challenges and matters in mental health at the moment, do you think?
There are a couple of points coming to my mind, but I think the chronic and most pressing challenge still stays the huge gap, treatment gap for mental illnesses. And
sorry, chronic in what way? Just for the audience as well.
Because it has been always the case that there has been a huge treatment gap. And, after all these developments, after all these many years, after having, mental health, being celebrated or, um, acknowledged as the integral part of health, still the gap is huge.
Mm.
So by chronic, I mean it was and it still is
Mm. Mm.
a big challenge.
Mm.
So the estimations, I mean, of course, it is different place to place, but the estimations say that above like 50% of people who are in need of kind of treatment, they don't receive it.
Wow, 50%.
Yes, and in low and low income countries, it rockets up to 90%.
That's crazy.
That is
That
crazy.
is
Yes,
crazy.
and the burden of mental health problems and conditions, they are huge. And you just imagine, how devastating is this gap.
Mm.
So I must say, yes, the huge treatment gap is still our big challenge.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not saying that certainly, but maybe still the policymakers, the donors, those who can, make a difference, they don't take it seriously. They
Mm.
don't invest on mental health.
Mm.
It is getting better, but there is, really a big room for improvement.
Yeah. So, I mean, once again, the numbers, they sound crazy, 50%, 90%. But once again, mental health is a very broad subject as well, right? So are we talking about specific categories where people don't get access to mental health in regards to, whether it is depression or trauma or maybe stress or anxiety, or is it just across,
No, it's just across,
Yeah.
but but of course,
Mm.
having like depression and anxiety, the most common conditions,
Mm-hmm.
then uh, you can imagine how many depressed people are deprived of treatment.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it is necessarily because there is no treatment.
Mm.
It is sometimes that because that people, they don't go for treatment.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are several reasons why this gap is huge. It's part of and a big part of the problem is inadequate services and inadequate mental health professionals. But there are also other challenges. But if we talk about severe mental illnesses, definitely the gap is wider.
Mm. Mm. And severe mental illnesses, what would you
For
put into that
example,
category?
like chronic psychotic disorder, like
Okay.
schizophrenia,
Mm.
like, or severe bipolar disorders, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are many people living with bipolar disorders. They are functional, they are productive, but there are also severe cases that they need more attention, more support, more help, and I can say the proper and effective treatment maybe for them is less available for
Yeah.
those with severe mental illnesses.
And you mentioned, going back to the numbers you mentioned here,
Mhm.
the 50% versus 90% in low income countries. And with your, again, knowledge of global healthcare and development, and especially mental health, what's the main difference in regards to the needs in mental health, low income versus other countries?
Mhm. We it might be a bit technical.
Yeah.
We have the word of need, we
Mhm.
have the word of demand.
Of course, yeah. No, total sense.
So definitely, living in a better socio-economic condition
Mm.
and having the support available, living in a better, studying in a better educational system, working in a better, workplace environment, they are preventive. Uh, so I can say the need might be more in countries less or low income. I mean, let's use the words constantly. Low income countries. Yeah, maybe the need is more in low income countries, not just because of the income level, but also because of several other stressors. Like political instabilities, uh, conflicts, um, even economic instabilities, because this is instability in economy has a huge impact on your mental health. So I can say the need is also higher in low income countries, and the resources are much less, much less. Like if I'm not mistaken, like on the mental health uh, workers, I'm not just saying like psychiatrists or psychologists in general. There are like 1.6 are available per 100,000 people in low-income countries, but this figure goes up to
Wait, 1.6 per
100,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And this figure is, if I'm not mistaken, 66 in high-income countries.
Wow.
So you can see.
That is, I mean, that is absolutely crazy. I naturally, because of the work we do, I know that the difference in regards to medical doctors is, I think it's 25-1, something like that. But this seems to be an even larger gap in regards to mental health access.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at all of these factors. And I feel, in regards to when I'm going into a conversation in a podcast, I always think, this is what we're going to talk about. But naturally, with your background, I'd love to kind of touch on the challenges in regards to, now we talked about war, we talked about economy, we talked about other things, maybe things now leading to you fleeing to another country and becoming a refugee in other countries as well. Like, what are the differences in the type of mental health issues that people are experiencing that have gone through these traumas, versus, let's say, a higher income country, right? What they usually experience as a mental health issue? Because I can imagine there's a big difference in what the demand is, let's say, going back to that word in a specific areas, whether it's stress, anxiety, and many other things.
We had our little chat before.
Exactly.
And I was talking about, refugees. Since my childhood, I have witnessed, what the life of refugees could be. Both refugees and internally displaced people. Going through the war, I was a child when there was a war between Iran and Iraq. So we had people coming.
Sorry, what year was this? The war?
It was because I need to know convert the years from. It was 1979, I think. You can check the exact.
We'll check.
Date.
Yeah. 1979. Ish, around that.
Yes, I was 9 and 10. So 9 or 10. I'm 53 now. So so we had, these internally displaced people coming from the western borders, from Khuzestan province, and like we have children in our school, coming from that part of the country. And then we had hundreds of thousands refugees from Afghanistan. So, I grew up, with the concept of, people have to flee their country, because of the war. And because of the conflict in their own country. And little by little, people also left Iran because of the conflicts, in the country. Uh, so this is the subjects that touches me personally, and I can tell you that, and as I was telling you that this I can I don't want to call it trauma from the beginning, but this potentially traumatic experiences. Let's
Yeah.
call it like this.
Mm.
Uh, they can start from the host country, from your city, from where you used to live in, and they start from there, and that is the reason you live there. And the journey that you take to leave your country, that is full of dangerous and traumatizing, potentially traumatizing experiences.
Mm.
And when you reach your host country, again another series, of traumatic of stresses, and traumatic experiences might happen. And all of these, you can imagine how um, could make people anxious, um, depressed, or, for example, make them to use substances or alcohol to make the pain silent.
Mm.
And we all know, I heard about acute stress disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders. So these are just a short list of what could happen, and I'm not even touching the subject of children and
Yeah.
adolescents
Yeah.
and what can happen to them.
Mm. Sorry, just to kind of
Yeah.
ask there, and for our audience, acute stress disorder versus post-traumatic stress
Yeah.
disorder. What's the main difference?
The difference is just about the duration,
Yeah.
Yeah. So um I need to refresh my mind, but
Mm.
the acute stress disorder is like the symptoms not continuing beyond the months,
Mhm.
but the stress PTSD is a kind of more chronic
Mm.
or long term
Yeah.
continuation of the symptoms
Yeah.
after getting exposed to a traumatic event.
And getting back to the interesting and I guess somewhat, or maybe not somewhat only, but traumatic experience of fleeing a country, as you said, like the way to the country as well. You said it was also like quite personal to you as well, and those experiences, and actually looking at my own family and parents, even that's part of my own life. Not that I've experienced it
I know.
myself, but
Yes.
how what is it like? What is it in the way, let's say, going to another country that you experience that might be if you're willing to share, of course. Like I'm completely okay if you're not, but what things can happen along the way, right?
I must say it is not that. Yeah, like I have gone through this because I left the country because of my job.
Yeah.
So I called myself and my family like the modern nomads,
Mm.
but this is our job,
Mm.
and we have been always privileged in the host countries.
Mm.
So I don't want to put myself in any terms on that position, and to say that I have gone through the pain.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. But uh, I have been in touch with people
Yeah.
that they have gone through this journey
Mm.
and their pains, and I can give you an example.
Yeah, please.
I had a client from Afghanistan, and he had to leave the country because of his sexual orientation. He was a homosexual young man,
Mm.
and so you can imagine, the pressure that
Yeah.
you know he has suffered
Mm.
in the home country, and now still in the process of asylum seeking for another country,
Yeah.
and still suffering in not very pleasant uh accommodation that they have in the second country.
Mm.
So yeah, I just wanted to give you a touch
Yeah. Yeah.
of how difficult it can be.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. And based on, I guess, whether it is your background or with sexual orientation, whatever it might be, it can lead to very traumatizing experiences in
Yeah.
the end as well. Um, what should someone, because what I want us to kind of move on to as well is now also looking at, I guess we've been talking about challenges for refugees and other things in mental health, is now also looking at everything from what can happen in your workplace or your everyday life, right? But looking at going through something like this, how do you work through it? How do you get past? You said going back to suffering is a choice,
Hmm.
right? How do you apply that to someone that's been through something like this, right? Is a refugee or gone through many, maybe has PTSD, whatever it might be. How do we approach that?
Hmm. Let's get back to the beginning of our talk, that
Yeah.
I was saying that this is it must be a collective act.
Okay.
So I consider someone in that situation in a more vulnerable position,
Mm.
less resourced.
Mm.
Uh, I was telling you that the resources are scarce,
Yeah.
even for the residents in a country, in a low income country, let alone when you are not registered and you're in a country. So you can imagine how resources are minimum or even not existing for you as a refugee. Getting back to the collective act, then this is our responsibilities, as mental health professional, as government, as NGOs, to be mindful that, we need to do something.
Mm.
I know there are, several NGOs providing services for refugees. I'm not talking necessarily about refugees from Afghanistan,
Mm.
but globally, I mean.
Mm.
There are several NGOs, there are some governments that are more keen to support, refugees' mental health. And I think it is also in each and every one of us who can do something. And this is what I am also trying to do
Yeah. Of course.
with,
Yeah.
in my collaboration with the NGO that I mentioned at the beginning.
Mm.
But does it lift the does it lift the responsibility, or I don't call it responsibility, the agency
Mm.
from the people who are suffering? I can say that with more education, with providing access to whatever that can be done. We were talking about applications. We were
Mm.
talking about online resources.
Mm.
So they might look small, but they help. They really help. Even one session of talking with someone might help.
Mm.
So we do what we can, and when we educate people, when we increase the mental health literacy among everyone, then they will also find the agency
Mm.
to reach out for the help,
Yeah.
even if it is little.
True. And going back to collectively, right? But
Mm,
still that there's also response. I mean, it's difficult, right? It's a combination between educating everyone about what's going on, about mental health, what resources you can reach out to. Sometimes maybe you don't even know that there are resources out there. And yeah, something that we're going to discuss a little bit more is called digital health, and coming into that, how that can make it a little bit more readily accessible as well. Shifting gears a little bit, going to the other challenge. Now I say other challenges. I think we can talk an entire day about, or maybe more, about mental health. But looking at something as simple as work culture nowadays. Something that everything I can even see it in my own social media and this you can almost call it the hustler culture, where work is everything for you, where you have to put in the hours, where you have to have a family, where you have to have work-life balance, I mean, everything that's going on in your life has to kind of be perfectly balanced against each other.
Yes.
And you cannot compromise on one single thing.
True.
Which sounds like a perfect recipe for disaster in the end for mental health. So I just wanted to address that a little bit with you, and what your thoughts are on kind of our everyday life problems, right? What's causing stress? What's causing anxiety? What do you think are some of the factors to right now why a lot of people are saying that they're stressed, saying that they're maybe anxious or other things? What are some of the contributors to that fact? So
just to clarify, you are not talking specifically about workplace.
Not necessarily workplace, but in the end, it ties into, I mean, work is usually half our lives, right? And so it ties into that as well, but yeah.
Yes. So a couple of things come to my mind. They might look separate, but no, I can see the connection. So I would like to start from what we had on the news headlines a couple of months ago about the loneliness epidemic. I don't know if you remember or not.
I think I've heard it several times, but yeah, I know it's a thing, absolutely.
Yes. I think it is but the estimates is like 1 out of 4 people globally, they feel this constant loneliness.
Across.
Yes. And WHO is saying that this loneliness, this suffering, it is as dangerous as smoking, as physical inactivity. So it damages your health, health in general, your physical health, your mental health, and I don't see them, two separate things. Whatever happens is inside our body. So loneliness is one of our big stressors in the new world that we are living in. And when we say loneliness, it doesn't mean that we are like we live in a cell and we are not in touch with people. We are, but we still feel lonely. People come to me and they are successful professionals. They have a beautiful family. They have friends. They work, but deep inside, they feel lonely. So I can say, like loneliness is one of the big stressors in the modern world.
Well, let me just stop you there for a second, because when you're saying it, it sounds crazy, right? It's like you have a big family, you have a successful job, you have this, you have that, and you're lonely.
Yes.
How come?
Yeah, that's a good question. what we have lost is getting connected to people.
Mm.
So these are two different things. That you get connected to someone else, or you just to be in the presence of someone else. I think this is what we are a bit missing these days. We don't get connected to people. And it's getting more difficult for us day by day to get connected to people. Like, I mean, when I was young, there was no internet, there was no cell phone.
Mm.
So it was like, I mean, and sometimes not even a phone in the house,
Yeah.
So you would go simply just at the door of someone and knocking, "Hi, I'm here to see you."
Yeah.
But nowadays, you don't dare to call someone.
No. That's an Instagram post instead of knocking on someone's door.
Yes, or texting,
Yeah.
And the phones are silent. You shouldn't. We are not gonna hear each other voices. We are not gonna touch each other. So, this connection between people is getting less.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we don't work, we don't have family, but these personal touches, personal connections, maybe are getting less.
And is that something that you need then beyond, because going back to the example here of like, now we're taking this person that is successful and has a family and all of this and still feels lonely.
Yes.
So is it that they're not connected or they have time with their own family, or is it connections outside family that makes a difference? Or what's the main issue there?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna separating family or non-family. No, it is just you become unable to open up.
Okay.
This is I think maybe a talent to be able to open up.
Yeah.
To open your heart. And to feel safe in connection with other people. This is something that human being needs. We need to feel safe in connection with other people. We need to be able to open up. And maybe this is something that we are, missing these days.
Yeah. And why are we missing that? Like, why can't we open up? Is it because of internet? Is it because of social media? Is it?
The simplest culprit is social media and internet. I'm not really sure. I think still we can.
Yeah.
Because we cannot condemn the technology for everything.
No, of course. Yeah. It's brought something good. Otherwise, it wouldn't be, be here. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe we need to learn how to live with that better. Maybe we have lost it just, like a transition.
Yeah.
And we need to have like a retreat, look at it again, and to build new skills. To enjoy the technology, and at the same time to have the ability to stay connected with other people.
Yeah. And isn't that also one, I guess, going into some of the biology here when looking at, let's say you're scrolling through Instagram or you're on any social media platform, and this, of course, very famous term nowadays, which is called doom scrolling, where you just keep scrolling and scrolling and looking at things, and then you have the dopamine dripping and dripping and dripping, and then it becomes like an addiction, right?
Yes.
Like how do you get out of that, right? How do you now maybe go to staying more connected with people and not just looking at your phone every time you need that that dopamine in your body? Like how do you get out of it? And especially if you're, let's say, brought up with it, like with a phone in your hand, and that's life.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, scrolling is like an easy fix.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But getting in touch with people might become challenging for you if you don't know how to deal with that. Um, and if you don't feel safe in connection with other people, because when you scroll, you know what is happening, somehow, and the screen is not going to give you a feedback. It's not going to interact with you. But when you're in touch with someone, they may say something that you don't like. They may react somehow that you don't like. You also need to adjust yourself, in the presence of someone else.
Yeah.
So these are the things, that maybe we little by little we find it difficult to deal with, and we just take refuge to this screen that it looks safe, at least, though it can be safe, it can be unsafe.
Yeah.
Nowadays we talk about digital safety a lot.
Yeah.
And we also need to know that what we see on the screen is not the whole truth.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
We see the beauty, we see the glory, but we don't see the pain behind. And then people start to compare, about what they have and what they don't have, especially, the younger generation.
Yeah.
So what I am saying that we do need those social skills.
Yeah.
And this is not something that comes automatically.
Yeah.
The schools, they are gonna cultivate them. The families have the responsibility to cultivate them. And losing that ability deprives us of our basic needs of connection with other people. So what I'm saying is that if people have started to feel lonely, it means that something is going wrong. It means that some basic needs in our body, because it's not just our mind.
No.
Our body is wired, our nervous system is wired in a way that needs connection.
Yeah.
We thrive in connection with our parent, with our mother. We get shaped in connection with other people. So this is something that we need to protect. And if we don't, we are facing this epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah. Very, very interestingly put. But digital and online and internet and everything, of course, it's here to stay for sure. It's not.
No.
It's not going away, right?
No, not at
so,
all.
Are there better ways to connect, even online, perhaps, that people can use, or methods? And I don't know, because you can do many things on the internet and online, right? But can we do things
Yes,
to connect better?
definitely. This is what I am saying. I was talking to your colleague before starting, that, I mean, I'm sure that there were hundreds of things that my parents were worried when I was a child, and thinking, we are getting to the end of the world. Why the world is changing like this? Maybe the same is happening to us, we shouldn't be worried about technology. It has done a lot of good things. We need to get prepared.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not really negative about it, and I also try to work on myself because I have children, and
and they're listening. Yeah.
yeah, maybe, and I mean, sometimes I have this fight with them.
Yeah.
Just enough screen, enough devices, and I have heard this from so many other parents. This constant battle.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's good, because we need. Each of us, we need to reach to a compromise, us and them. and that is, I think that is okay. This is our responsibility to teach them the skills, and this is also their right, to enjoy what they find familiar, and what they find useful in connecting with other people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean if I enjoy parties and in person, I should say that you are wrong to connect with your friend through like social media. So I think there is no right or wrong. It is about doing it in the right way.
Yeah.
So getting back to how we can overcome these challenges and use our internet and social media better. I think it's kind of personal choice. But for example, I personally can say, I have friends I have never met, but we have our colleagues we have never met.
Yeah.
But even you,
Yeah.
it's the first time.
It is.
Yeah, but we're in touch.
It started online. Yeah.
Yes, it started online.
Yeah.
So I have meetings with my friends, we talk, we work, and sometimes we drink coffee,
Yeah.
together. Because I think it is lovely, to be in touch with someone, thousands of kilometers away and in a different time zone, and we are still able to stay in touch, to get connected,
Yeah.
This is great, but it shouldn't be my whole life. And we also have our boundaries, No, I cannot have this meeting.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
I want to go to that party. I want to go, to do my workout. So I believe we can do it, we can reach that balance, and we can enjoy technology.
True. We should, because we need to enjoy it in some way, right? It's going to be there no matter what.
Exactly.
What we want. Coming back to the parts of life, I mean, we talked about loneliness a little bit. Still can't get my head around the one, like a fourth of the population, 25% of the population. Another thing that is, I think, on the agenda all the time, has been on the agenda for a very long time, is both stress and depression. But let's talk about stress a little bit to start with. If you could walk me through, or maybe our audience, a little bit, like, how does stress work? Like, what is it that causes us to feel stressed in everyday life? Because I think there's not a single person in the world who haven't feel stressed several times in their lives. Yeah.
I was thinking how we can put it in simple words. Let's say when the pressures of the everyday life is above our capacity to handle them, or we think or we feel that they are above our capacity to handle them. This is when we feel stressed. And with this stress, our nervous system gets activated, We feel the tension. It depends.
That's the flight or fight response, or
somehow the mechanism is almost is the same, but maybe not. I mean, it depends. The intensity depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But yes, your muscles, you feel that they are get stiff.
Yeah.
You get headache. Your heart starts, hitting faster, and you start to feel it. You get angry. your mind gets kind of blocked.
Mm.
So it's like you lose your connection between your emotion and your, this prefrontal cortex to make the right decision, to say the right thing. And you just get focused on mm, protecting yourself
Mm.
from the danger. And this danger shouldn't, I'm not talking about an animal attacking you.
Mm.
It is, imagine, you are expecting your boss is unhappy,
Mm.
or he's always, or she's always unhappy person.
Mm.
And she or he always criticizing you. So it is like you're always expecting a threat.
Mm.
And it becomes beyond your abilities to cope with the situation, to handle the situation.
Yeah.
Then you start to feel the stress. You start to feel the threat. And your answer, how you deal with that, it depends.
Mm.
How big is the threat? As you said, you might fight,
Mm.
or you leave the scene and try to just go away somewhere. And another mechanism is that you go to a shutdown mode.
Mm.
It is as if you get numb. Your mind doesn't work anymore. You can't say anything. You do nothing, So it depends.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I guess going into the biological response that we were talking about, this fight or flight mechanism in a sense where
Or freeze and freeze.
and freeze. So fight, flight, and freeze, right? So where your prefrontal cortex kind of shuts down a little bit, you get almost this primal response in a sense.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is a bad analogy, but like it's like having let's say a lion or an animal chasing you, but in a virtual sense.
No,
right?
it is exactly the same.
In a virtual sense,
Yes.
but it's constantly there.
Yeah.
Which I don't think takes a genius to realize that can be harmful for your body. Looking at like chronic stress and everything. So how do you now choose? Because when you're in a situation and a lion is in front of you, well, you can kind of choose what to do, right? I mean, should I fight the lion, or should I flee the scene, as you said, or maybe I shut down completely and I just freeze? But let's say in a real life situation, it might not be that clear, like visually, right? Because when I see a lion, I know that, that's my threat, right? How do we know what's causing, stress in our lives? Because it's not always that easy, right? To maybe pinpoint, well, that's the lion, right? That's what's causing it. So how do we figure that out in our very busy lives that we have nowadays, or at least think that we have?
It's a big question. And there are now many kind of self-care approaches that help you to understand your body and your nervous system better and enable you to identify the stressors. Because for many people, they feel something, but they never think about it. I think all of us, we have had this experience that we go somewhere and we don't feel comfortable. And, without giving it a thought, we feel bad, we feel tense, and we can't say why. Is it the environment? Is it the person? Is it a noise? But something is happening that makes me feel tense. And this is good that our body is this talented,
Yeah.
our nervous system is so equipped at, because if we were like wired in a way that we had to calculate everything, we would definitely be paralyzed because
That wouldn't work now.
yeah, imagine the amount of, stimuli around us. If we had to give it a thought and to calculate everything, it was impossible.
Yeah.
But our body is smart. And our nervous system is smart, and it does the job in a proper way. What we need to learn is to get to know it and to listen to our body and to listen to the signals that we receive. To understand that what is happening inside, and as you rightly mentioned, what gives me stress. Getting back to technology. This scrolling down many times expose us to news, very unpleasant, that we can't do anything about that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about what is happening all around the world, but it is becoming like a preoccupation. Checking the news, what is happening, what is happening, what is happening. It was a time that you would listen or you'd watch a news program for half an hour and done.
Yeah.
But it is like constant exposure. During the pandemic, one of the reasons that now we think that was increasing the stress was getting exposed to the news all the time.
Yeah.
How many people died? What is happening? It is and the rumors, and the yellow news, as if we can call it like that. So I can say that we were talking about stressors.
Yeah.
Yes, we can start to and there are apps, there are websites, there are books, there are podcasts, that they help you, how to get your nervous system better, how you to identify the stressors more, and how to give you a simple, if there is someone in your workplace that each time that you talk with, you feel bad. I don't want to go deep why you don't feel bad.
No.
But, if you don't have to,
Yeah.
so don't start a conversation.
Avoid it, yeah.
Yes.
The flight response.
There are things that we can do. There are things we can't do. You cannot change your boss.
No.
Yeah. But, even with that, you can do things. So but my point is that we can know the stressors. Some are inevitable. Some or many, we can do something for them.
Yeah. And going back to the fact of our technology, and obviously now it seems like we hate technology, but that's not the case.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And but looking at that is, now this is just from a personal perspective. Technology also enables us to learn things faster. We have information readily available in our phones, which is fantastic in a sense, right? Seeing new things, learning new things, whether it is news, whether it is facts, and so on. So again, coming back, because there's a reason why, I'm assuming there's a reason why our brain believes that it is interesting to scroll and look for new things, right? Because we do like to explore, we do like to figure out new things and learn more things as well. But sometimes it can become, more damaging than maybe rewarding. Maybe we're focusing on things that has to do more with social media updates than has to do with facts and information. So that being a stressor, most probably in a lot of people's lives, like just staying up to date and looking in your phones, like how do we make sure that we look at things that are not necessarily stressors for us, right? And we look at the whatever good content, if we can call it that, and how do we avoid the things that are negative? Which is a very difficult question. I mean,
yes,
I don't know.
yeah, it is. And I'm not sure how to answer to this question.
Yeah.
But maybe I get back to the principle that I believe in, that, the like layered responsibility. With technology, as you said, what is happening that everyone can be a media. So it's not like before that we had like a formal media or, like established news agencies. No. Everyone can potentially be a media and to publish things and to say things and to have audience, even if they say nonsense. So part of it is our, personal responsibility to be mindful when using social media, when using internet, when say things, when comment on things, when publish a content. We need to be mindful about, the accuracy of what we publish, the content that we share with other people. On the other side, we can also be mindful about what we read. Our life is beautiful but short. And the amount of information is huge. So we also need to be selective about what we read. And there are always reliable resources that we can refer to. So we really don't need to, read whatever comes in our Instagram feed.
Yeah.
If you love to scroll, do it. But, you really don't need to spend your precious time on reading whatever comes there. They are reliable resources for information that you can refer to. Going to another level, the governments. That I don't know, because, there have been efforts now like to check, for example, the false news or or to monitor and control, social media and currently AI. But to what extent it is doable, I don't know. There are efforts, but I'm not really sure that to which extent it can be successful, because I think it's not doable. You cannot control every single person.
Yeah. And I guess that also comes to, now we're getting into another topic here, but it also comes to the fact of, free market, free speech, what you're able to say, censorship and other things. And there's, of course, a lot of dangers in that as well. So in the end, maybe it all falls down a lot on, as you say, like both just being mindful. That's, I think, a good way of going about it in the end as well. Now, we're talking about we've talked about a little bit about like self-management and what you can do and how you can handle things. Like one other aspect is, as you also talked about, is this collaborative aspect as a community. So let's say that you feel very lonely, right? And we talked about that. Like how do you go about the first step in building that community and sense and collaboration around you? How do you go about that? Let's say you feel very alone, right? What's the first thing to do?
You know, you really don't need to uh, create something or start something. There are many things going around nowadays.
Mm.
There are many in-person and social groups
Mm-hmm.
you can join.
Yeah.
Um, if you feel like to join an in-person, that would be great. If you don't, you can join like online groups. But on what?
Mm.
I can see nowadays many people, they have this, for example, book clubs.
Mm.
You know, you pick a book, everyone reads, they get together online or in person, online most of times these days. And because it is online, it is easy to have a suitable time for everyone. And then you share, you talk about it. People dance together, people do yoga together. And by doing yoga, sometimes they do it online again.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So there are groups. I'm not saying that there should be, very like professional groups or groups that necessarily they talk about mental health. No,
Mm.
just doing, joining, whatever subject that is appealing to you. There are activities, joint activities, collaborative activities that you can join or you can create yourself if you feel like. And there would be always, some people to join you.
Mm.
This is one thing. Um, we all of have, have friends, we have family members that we like. But, when we stop talking to them for a long time, then we feel awkward
Mm. Mm.
to reconnect
True.
with them. Uh, I have been there,
We've all been there.
Yeah. So, but when I do it, it feels so good.
Yeah.
And the other person also feels so good.
Mm.
And feeling happy, wow,
Mm.
you still remember me. You
Mm.
wanted to talk to me. You wanted to get connected again, you know. And I believe most of us, we have someone
Mm.
that we like that we haven't been in touch for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, Getting back to the topic of the mental health, um, I hope that each of us, we can be an advocate for mental health.
Mm.
And I know it's not easy. Still a lot of stigma going around.
Yeah.
But this is the way that we can overcome the stigma and to stay connected. If we start to talk about our lived experiences. And usually the answer that you receive from people is, is some, they feel close to you.
Mm.
Maybe at the beginning you see they are surprised, but then they feel close to you and they come to you, they talk to you.
Mm.
I have been there. I had the same. Let's talk about this.
Mm.
Let's have a coffee. And talk over.
Mm.
So, I mean, there are things, small things that we can do and to stay connected
Yeah.
with other people, and then I'll text someone, can I call you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear your voice.
Mm.
Many things go wrong through our text messages because we don't see our faces, our communication is not, it's not about words.
Yeah.
It's about our face, is about, our gestures, about our body language,
Mm.
and we are missing them out. So yeah, definitely that we can do things, and going up, those who are policymaker, those who are decision maker, they can also support this.
Yeah.
They can provide spaces for community engagement, because it also happens that they prevent it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some countries, some governments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it is a collective action.
Mm.
Everybody can have a role, and everybody can take a step.
Oh, it's absolutely. And what is, looking at other, now continuing on the same path here, other things that you can do to now self-manage or feel better and so on. And obviously something that's out there in the public discourse a lot is now looking at your physical health. And you also talked about these two things are, they're one, right? We're saying mental health and other things, but body, it's a part of it, right? It is your body.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We talk about dieting, we talk about diets, we talk about exercise, we talk about all of these things. So what are some physical components or maybe measures that you can do to deal with any kind of mental health issue or challenge?
Yes, that is very much correct. That there is a lot going on nowadays in the this body-mind connected realm. So they are not separate at all. And even if when I was talking about knowing your stress, I referred to looking at your body and what is happening inside. So yes, it is important to take care of yourself as a person. There is no taking care of your mental health separately. It doesn't exist. We need to take care of ourselves as a person. That would mean, as you mentioned, like to do exercise. But I don't want to go crazy about that, because this is also another epidemic, that everybody has to have this, how do you call it, 6 packs?
Yeah,
and,
yeah. All of the social media standards and beauty standards.
And then, the standards of beauty, they have changed, So, no, I don't want to go crazy about that. But, just look at your body, what you can do. You can walk, you can swim, you can hike, whatever that gives you this good feeling. And sometimes, at the beginning, it's like an exercise. Sometimes at the beginning you feel it's difficult, but little by little, but you need to find your niche, what is that?
Yeah.
But definitely your physical health is the same, physical health and mental health are the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is not rocket science. It is simple.
Yeah.
If, for example, if you have a peptic ulcer, do you think your mental health will be the same?
No, absolutely. I would feel pretty bad.
Yes, you feel pretty bad, So yes, they are connected. So we need to start to learn and taking care of ourselves in general as a whole person. For example, with physical activity, with a proper diet. Again, I'm not pro those things that no carbohydrate. No, I can't live without carbohydrate.
No,
I don't get much, but I love it.
We need the carbs. Yeah.
And a balanced diet has everything. Sleep. I can't say enough about a good sleep, and how important it is. And I am one of those, that a little sleep makes me depressed. And this is, based on evidence, it can make you depressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it happens to me, when I have like 1 night, 2 night of, I can't say insomnia, but, little sleep. The third day I feel bad and really bad. And then I tell myself, and this is what I want to refer. Now I know my stressors, more or less. Then I tell myself, look, you didn't have enough sleep,
Mm.
if you feel bad, if you are not positive about what you're doing, if you feel depressed, just give it a night of good sleep, and tomorrow,
Mm.
I talk to you tomorrow.
Mm.
And it is always the case. I take a good step. Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then, as you said, I mean, nowadays they are very popular mindfulness practices. And luckily, we have hundreds of apps,
Yeah.
some of them very good.
Mm.
So I'm not going to, advertise for any, but, anyway, people can just search and look at the ratings.
Yeah.
It is easy.
Yeah.
Mindfulness practices, yoga
Mm.
is amazing.
Mm.
But I want to say again, if you feel amazing with playing tennis, okay, play tennis.
Yeah.
It's not like one size fits all.
Yeah.
Some people, they don't feel connected to mindfulness practices. Some people, they don't feel connected to yoga, and that's okay. Still, I think if you start little by little, maybe you like it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying that, take it easy
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Just accept yourself with who you are and find the things that you can feel better, and avoid the things that, make adds up to your everyday life stresses that are already a lot.
Mm.
And the final thing is that stay connected with people.
Mm.
We are biologically, we are wired to be connected with people.
Mm.
You cut it, you feel bad.
Yeah. So stay connected. That's the key message in that sense. And everything, I guess, in regards to the physical aspect of the body, but also in moderation, is what I can hear from you as well. But isn't it also the case that, at least from like a physical perspective, that you can just start with one small thing, and that might lead to another good thing, that might lead to another thing, and so on and so forth. So I guess the same way we were talking about this dopamine effect of doom scrolling and looking at your phone, that could be the same effect, but in a positive sense as well.
Yes.
Maybe when you eat right, maybe when you exercise, but once again, in moderation.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing.
Sure.
That, I mean, what I am saying is not that it is ideal that we all live in a world that no one has a problem.
No, that's impossible.
Yeah, or no one has a disorder.
Yeah.
Or, no one is suffering from a disease.
Yeah.
What I am saying that, we reach to the peace with our body.
Mm.
Even if we are experiencing something that might be difficult, and is difficult, not might be difficult, something that is difficult, because that is part of the life. I went through a very difficult experience after giving birth to my second child, and this is why, where I told you that maybe my children will come to this. That, it was a very premature birth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, I don't want to go to the details, but it was so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And it was life-threatening for me, for her. I mean, now she's a beautiful, girl, clever, lovely, lively. But we went through a lot. But what happened to me, that I felt that this body is strange to me.
Mm-hmm.
How this body did that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Why this happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to have hypertension, and this hypertension gets out of control over the time when I went through menopause. And this is a topic that, I would love to have talked more, maybe not today, another. So, there have been periods of my life that I felt that I don't belong to this body. It doesn't belong to me. Or the other way around. I don't belong to this body.
Yeah.
I am someone else. This body is something else.
Mm.
This is not what I used to know.
Mm.
This is what I used to feel. And then I started to get into peace with
Mm.
myself, you know?
Mm.
This is who I am.
Mm.
Be it hypertension, be it aging, you know, and this applies to everything.
Yeah.
How we can get into peace with ourselves and to embrace
Yeah.
what comes to us.
Well, I'm glad and happy that you're both healthy and at peace
Yeah.
right now. But and what you were talking about sounds like a little bit of an out of body experience in a sense that
Yes,
you weren't a
yeah,
part of it.
yeah.
Well, as you said, like that feels like that could be an entire podcast by itself
Yes,
as well.
it can be.
No, so and thank you for sharing that, of course. But as you said, we should not expect that life should be something where we're happy at all times, because that doesn't work. Honestly, I
Yes.
think it's even a depressing thought to be happy at all times,
Exactly.
because you don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
So it is a part of life.
Yeah.
It's about how we are handling it and dealing with it. So as this is the Go Beyond podcast, as we say, we always like to round off by talking about the future of healthcare, you know, and the future of mental health in this case. What's on the horizon? What's to come, or what are kind of the horrific things around the corner as well? But looking at the next couple of decades in mental health, how do you think it will develop?
In one sentence, I am positive about it.
Mm-hmm.
What will be the future? I can only guess.
Mm.
But getting back to what you work on and your expertise, I must say technology and AI are going to be a big chunk of this future of mental health. And it can be both positive and negative, but I'm trying to look at it positively because they can provide a lot of opportunities for everyone to be more literate and aware of mental health and to have more access to information and services. And it has already started, you know. So I think that technology and AI, they will do a lot in the future of health in general, and definitely mental health. And I'm trying to avoid the word psychiatry. It's just part of the story. So yes. The other thing is that there, you know, with the widespread access to information, as I said, everybody, I think, will start to take part